Good morning. I trust everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know we did. We're very grateful, very thankful to have the opportunity to celebrate this time of the year. Today, I want to look at Matthew 17, and we're going to look at unbelief. In verse 14 of Matthew 17, the scripture tells us, and when they had come to the multitude, a man came to him, kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is an epileptic and suffers severely. For he often falls into the fire and often into the water. So I brought him to your disciples, but they could not cure him. Then Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I bear with you? Bring him here to me. And Jesus rebuked the demon, and it came out of him, and the child was cured that very hour. Then the disciples came to Jesus privately and said, Why could we not cast it out? So Jesus said to them, Because of your unbelief. For assuredly I say to you, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, Move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. However, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. You know, one of the challenges we face as followers of Christ is mountains. And most of them are mountains of unbelief. We pretend they don't exist, but we all have them. All of them are different. What may be a mountain to me might be a molehill to you, and what may be huge to you may be small to me. They all have seemingly different spiritual landscapes. Either way, mountains of unbelief are quite often intimidating and sometimes seemingly impossible to move. Mountains of unbelief can consume us, consume our thoughts, consume our actions, and even our lack of actions. And unbelief can paralyze our love. When something becomes huge in our life, it can become the never-ending focal point, a mountain that won't move, if you will. And we want that mountain to move, but it doesn't. We see that mountain every day. It never moves and can become a spiritual anchor that ties us down. It limits our service. It limits our belief in God. Since we see no movement in the mountain, we get impatient. And we question God's timeline. We question God's love. We question God's power rather than seek God's will. And pretty soon we start moving. We think, well, if God isn't going to move it, I guess he wants me to. And we're only rationalizing our unbelief at that point. But so we sojourn into our unbelief. Mountains of unbelief are full of inherent dangers, dangers that we tend to ignore until we find ourselves in a place we never thought possible. One of the first things in our impatient quest that it does is it consumes a lot of energy. And pretty soon we're tired, spiritually tired of a lot of things, because we're trying to move this mountain in our own strength. You know, if you listen to people today, you hear a lot about what people are tired of. People are tired of COVID, tired of the election, tired of whatever, whoever lives matter. They're tired of racism, tired of the government, tired of economic issues, tired of isolation, tired of the news, tired of wearing a mask, tired of health issues, tired of family issues. Some people are just tired of 2020. They're just tired. The next thing you notice as you're trying to move this mountain of unbelief is your lack of nourishment. What once brought you strength is no longer nourishing, and you find yourself getting weaker and weaker. And what you have is not cutting it. Kind of like the prodigal son, you realize what you're relying on is lacking, and you long for that one thing you don't have. I remember one time I ran a fire trail crew, and we had gotten up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were up on the mountain by about 4:30, 5 o'clock. And at this particular time of year, humidity was a big deal in the woods, and you would have to use an instrument to measure the humidity, and if the humidity was too low, you couldn't work. And that happened to us that particular day. We got up early, drove all the way up there, and it was all for nothing. We couldn't work that way. So on our way back, we decided that we would climb Tatoosh Mountain. And so we took off and we climbed that mountain, only to find once we got on top that we didn't have any water and we didn't take any water and there wasn't any water on the mountain. And you know, that one thing that we could not have on that mountain became huge. It became huge in our life, and it became the thing that we longed for. It became the thing that we thought about and we talked about all the way back down off that mountain. In fact, even to this day, when I run into guys that I did that with, we talk about wishing we would have had water at that time. And I think sometimes we find that in our effort to move this mountain of unbelief. There's things there we can't find. We can't find rest. We can't find peace. We can't find joy. We struggle finding faith, hope, and love. It's just not there. And so what happens is you become cranky. You get mad. And everything bothers you. Everything is an issue. Everything bugs you. It's like the world is full of spiritual mosquitoes and your time is spent swatting at everything that bugs you. And when people encounter you, all they see and all they hear about is what bugs you. All of your communication is aimed at swatting the things that bug you. And you're angry about it. And now you become consumed with the comfort of you. So now everything is about how uncomfortable you are. Nothing about your surroundings brings you comfort anymore. Your friends, your family, your faith, nothing. You stop seeing the beauty that surrounds you and see only continual causes of discomfort. In your unbelief, everything and everyone is to blame for the way you feel. And you'll make statements like, if they had only done this, or if I had only done that, or if that only turned out this way, or if God had only done that. And unbelief is full of unpleasant encounters. You run into things that you never would have imagined, and you're never ready for them, and you're never prepared for them, and yet here they are threatening you like a bear in the trail. I ran into a bear one time. He was about 15 feet in front of me, and he was uphill of me. He came out of some jackfir trees and landed right in the middle of the trail. And I'll tell you, at that time, the only thing that I could feel and hear was my heart beating and him breathing. And though it was a brief encounter, and thankfully it ended in both of us going our separate ways, still he was there during that time like a threat to me. And a lot of times for us spiritually, things in our life can become a threat in our unbelief. Our addictions can become a threat. Our selfish ambition, our past failures, our unkept promises, everyone you ever let down, they all stand in the trail staring at you just like that bear. And that is all you see and all you hear in your unbelief. And so now what happens is you become paranoid. You become scared in the despair of unbelief. You now become uncertain. What once seemed like the right trail is no longer recognizable. You seem to go in circles in this wilderness of unbelief. You cannot find a way out. And now you begin to fight panic because you have lost sight of home. And panic causes you to do stupid things. Panic causes you to make rash emotional decisions. Panic causes your behavior to become irrational and dangerous. And this is where people enter into self-destructive behavior, consuming harmful things, thinking harmful thoughts, and giving up on ever being found, just like someone who is lost in the wilderness. And at this point, your physical, your rational, and your emotional state is altered. Now you're in full panic without any sure direction. You are doing things you never would have imagined to stay alive on this mountain of unbelief, and your footing's no longer secure. Your balance and your sense of direction is off. You continually slip and fall, causing more and more injury, and the pain just won't go away. And before you know it, you find you're alone, you're cold, and you are so broken, you just want to die. And now all the memories come crashing in, the regrets, all the one last time, all the one last thing, all the one last chance, all the one last word, regrets. And here you lay on this mountain of unbelief, All because you chose unbelief over faith in God. You pulled away from him when you should have pressed into him. Well, what if your mountain didn't move? Because God really wanted to move in you first. What if there is a mountain of stuff to move in your heart? God still moves mountains, and he does it in his might, in his power, and by his Spirit. But more often than not, though, he waits. He waits for us to come home. He waits for us to move closer to him. We see in Scripture that God waits. He waits that none should perish, but that all would come to the knowledge of the truth. He lovingly waits and watches the horizon every day to see if you are coming home. He searches. He leaves the 99 to rescue the one. He believes you will miss him and come back over the horizon, that you will come back home. He believes that you will be there ready to receive his help when he leaves the 99 in search of you. Let him move in you. Move closer to him. He will keep you. He will nourish your heart. He will sustain you. He will still and he will quiet your soul. And he will move that mountain of unbelief in you. And once that mountain moves, I promise you the view will be life-changing and beautiful. And you know, today, if that's you and you've wandered away from the Lord and you found yourself out in just a ton of stuff that you never thought, you never believed, you never dreamed that you would be involved in or that you would be caught up in, I want you to know today that God is lovingly looking and watching and awaiting your return. And his love for you hasn't faded. He understands, he knows, and he's reaching out today, and he's looking for you. And I just want to say today, if that's you, will you return to him? Just in a simple prayer, just ask him to forgive you and ask him to lead you and guide you to people who will love you and support you and help you to draw close to him. And that mountain, don't worry about it. He's got it under control. He'll take care of it. You draw near to him. You pull in close to him. And he'll take care of that mountain, and he'll make your life so beautiful and so worth it. I just pray that if that's you, you'll say that prayer. You'll reach out to me. I want to help. I want to help folks. One of my things in ministry is I just love to go lay in the ditch with people. I think that that's just where the church needs to be. We need to be in this fight with folks who are struggling just to get through the things that are going on around them. And I know this time is overwhelming for a lot of people, and so I know people tend to get on trails that they wish they never would have went down. So if that's you, let us love you, let us help you, and I just pray that you'll be blessed and nourished and loved by the community of faith. And I just pray that God will do a great work in you, and know that we are praying for you, and we're believing for great things. And many of us have been down that road. So let us help you. Let us reach out. Love you all. I hope you have a wonderful week. Don't let all this stuff get to you. Draw close to the Lord. He'll show you ways that you can reach out and you can love and you can impact the world around you with something besides all the stuff that's going on right now. What a great opportunity we have during this time to reach out and love. So God bless you guys. Love you. Deal with it. Have a fantastic week in Jesus. Bye.